Greetings, family. How are you this wonderful Sunday day? This is Baba Ahnk and Baba Kwabena and a Kemites view of world events and just general esoteric philosophication or philosophizing. I like making up new words sometimes because sometimes that's the African it be, trying to be creative and improvising. Improv. Okay, I'm gonna get the word. I don't have it right now. But Baba Kwabena, how are you, brother?
I'm good. I'm good. I was just talking to I met a young Ghanaian brother who lives in my neighborhood, and I met him the other day when I was walking. And since then, I've run into, it was last week. Since then, I've run into him 3 times. So I told him, I said, well, I keep bumping into you. I said, maybe we need to, we're supposed to connect. He said, okay, let's do it. I said, okay. So I told him about the Jollof Festival, and he's first generation American. So his parents both Ghanaian, but he didn't know about the Jollof Festival in the area, which a lot of continentals don't know because they don't engage in a cultural or festival type activities in the U.S. too much. They do it within their own communities, but they don't really engage so much. But and they think that we kind of are exploiting. Some of them think we're exploiting their culture by having things like a Jollof Festival in the U.S. And but anyway, I was telling him about it and just looked it up, and it just happens to be this month. So perfect timing. So he says he wants to go.
They make jollof rice and all that stuff, or is it as a cook-off, like a barbecue cook-off?
So it's kind of like a cook-off. 5 countries typically participate: Ghana, Nigeria, Liberia, Senegal, and Sierra Leone. And what happens is,
this is DC, right?
Yeah, DC. Well, they do it. It started about 5 or 6 years ago, and it started here. Now they have them in other major cities like New York. I noticed they have them in New York now, in Chicago. They probably even have one in Houston. But what happens is, what I found is that, I mean, I like going just because it's just another culture. I like cultural events. I don't care what country they are. But my argument to continental Africans saying that we're exploiting African culture, it's not totally accurate.
It's not accurate at all. We are African culture. That's stupid.
We are African.
Well, it's a lack of understanding. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say stupid. That's a value judgment. That's that beast in me. Well, go ahead.
No, but it's like most African Americans don't go to Africa, so they don't know nothing about Jollof. So this is an exposure for them, even though it may not be just like the Jollof in Ghana or Nigeria. I mean, because though there are African restaurants who cook it, again, it's a restaurant thing, which is not like a home cook kind of thing necessarily, right? So, but still, you get to experience Africa on the U.S. soil in a way that you don't know because you've never been there. And they have music, they have vendors selling African wares, and I mean, it's just really a nice, and it's usually outside, so it's really, if the weather's nice, then it's quite a lovely time having that cultural experience. And then sometimes I bump into people that I know who's connected to Ghana, like I am. And then I meet people that I don't know, because people are very friendly. Sometimes they're continentals, mostly diasporans attend, but you do have sprinklings of continental Africans who do participate, and they engage you about the different. You don't know which they give you samples from each country, but they don't tell you which one of those vendors is that country. Okay. And then they ask you to vote. They ask you to vote at the end, and then you vote. And each country has a different color cup, so they'll know. So then they have an app, and you open the app, and then you select the colored cup of the jollof you thought was best. Wow! So they keep it anonymous, which is cool, right?
That's great.
And so, and then they make the announcement at the end. But it's a pretty neat, gathering, social gathering.
Wow, interesting. I just want to continue here, brother. I didn't give the proper interjections. Like I said, this is introductions I can't talk this morning. I've been running like a scalded dog, but we still running on the green side of the grass with 10 toes down. So we all good. And so I just wanted to welcome the family out there in YouTube land, and we hope to provide some enlightening and insightful information. Please like, share, and subscribe. And if you like to comment, give me some comment. If you like the program, give us some comments, and we'll promise to get back to you with good things. But we're going to have a kind of short show today, but we're going to go over some very interesting events that have occurred this week. We don't have much on Africa, so we're not going to go there too much, but we're going to start with this assassination or alleged assassination that allegedly took place in Japan with Prime Minister Abe, which was interesting. I don't know if you guys were aware, but I think it was the 4th of July. Was it the 4th of July the guy got shot? Well, I don't even have the date now. But this past week, the Prime Minister was shot.
Yeah, it was
Go
this
ahead,
past
brother.
week.
It was this
No,
past week.
it was just that I don't know what date it was exactly, but I know it was this past week.
Wow, I don't have that. That's too bad. Anyway, it was this past week. And when you look at some videos, it looks like nothing occurred. It looks like purely a false flag. He was supposedly shot in the neck. And, you know, if anyone's butchered animals or been around gunshot victims, you get hit by a gun, especially in the neck. There's so many arteries and veins right there. You bleed profusely. The idea or the phrase stuck pig, bleeding like a stuck pig comes to mind or originated from that. Well, this guy hardly had any blood on him. It looked like he walked over and kind of kneeled down when the guy was shooting. I don't think you'll be able to find this footage of the event, but I'm just going to say that I'm skeptical. I'm skeptical now, being a Kemite, of everything that comes across media, every event, everything that happens. If the mass media pushes it, I am skeptical, and I'm looking for a way they want to lie and confuse and manipulate us, because that's their modus operandi. And at one point, we're going to do a show on the Venetian oligarchy and how it took over from Venice, England, to become and launch the new corporate state that we have now. But anyway, that's Abe for you. I'm looking also to see if this is a triggering event for a world war, even though I don't think they want to start a world war. They like their animal accoutrements, you know, their servants and all their fresh food and their airplanes and going around and thinking, you know, how they want to live good. So if they start a world war, all that stuff's off. Their beautiful life is gone. So I'm not sure what's going on. I just know that they're lying to us, and look for something else to occur behind this Abe alleged assassination. Any comments, brother?
Yeah, and I know that, you know, in China you don't have guns. So the fact
Japan,
that a gun,
Japan.
oh, I'm sorry, Japan. In Japan they don't have guns. So it's like it's interesting how a gun was used to carry this out, and then it was from behind, apparently.
Right. He was far away. I saw the video. He looked to be at least 40 to 50 feet away with the homemade shotgun that looked like it was made together with black, you know, electrical tape and some pipe and some electronic thing to fire the shells. Looked pretty crappy in that. You know, you wonder. And then the guy was supposedly part of the military, and then he was disgruntled with Abe's politics and whatnot. And I thought, is this a way for the West, the pirates, to slap their boys around and keep them in line and say, hey, if you don't do what we say, we're going to take you out? A message to Trump, message to other politicians in Europe that you have to stay on the script, or we're going to take you out. We may not kill you. We reserve that mostly for niggas and other non-melanated people. Japanese are what they call an honorary, I should have said that word, I apologize. The honorary whites. The Japanese are the honorary whites, and the Chinese are moving up to be the same thing. In fact, I read a couple of things about how they're wanting to assume that mantle now of the new white person or man or controller or whatever. But I think Chinese are a little bit more smart. The Japanese have just been so beat down. They're a totally captured colony of the US, as is Germany, as is Europe. We'll see what happens as things move along. But I think, I don't know. That's all I have to say about Abe. We're going to go on to Russia and Europe a little bit later on. Anything else, brother, before we move on?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about Russia and just preface it by saying that Russia is now approaching, have a rapprochement with African countries in general. We spoke about that previously, but I just spoke to a colleague last night. He's in Mali and in Africa in general, and the Russians are being well received. As we know, historically, the USSR educated a lot of Africans and provided a lot of support through Cuba in different wars and just providing a counterweight to the West. And of course, when Russia fell in the 90s, the West went crazy and went in and just like, you know, we're going to get you all. We're not going to just put the tip in. We're going to go full tilt. They raped everybody over there in Europe and Russia. And now the table has turned. Russia has developed these magnificent weapons. They say, once again, I have to preface it, I'm not for or against Russia, because when Russia mandated masks and I call them now riding the flying unicorn. That's my new metaphor, brother, for the shot. You know, because I mean, I mean, the shot is just as comparable to riding a flying unicorn. So, you know, same mindset. It doesn't exist except in your mind, and you be scared or you be happy, whatever. But anyway, so I'm wondering how much Russia is part of the team. Then they say he's part of Klaus Anal Schwab. I love that phrase, Klaus Schwab. I couldn't resist. Anyway, that he's part of the team and young, Young Leaders program they've been in. So one thing, they did come up with their own flying unicorn. They had their version of the flying unicorn called Sputnik. Over here, you know, you had 3 or 4 companies. Russia, they just had one, and they're saying they didn't have mRNA technology. So maybe that's just their hat tip to say, yeah, we're part of the team. We're gonna play the game, but we're not gonna kill our people like y'all. Like y'all seem to be wanting to experiment with, have them flying the have them riding a flying unicorn. So jury's still out, but one thing that happened that's very interesting, and it shows to me the what they call that, the cunning of reason. They've sanctioned Russia, and as an African black man, you know, come through the Middle Passage here to U.S., we kind of, well, I do enjoy the U.S. getting his nose bloody for what it's done to us as black people, as African people. So when I see somebody flip the script and judo toss the United States, I feel proud. I feel happy, at least like, okay, now they're getting his just reward. But it's not, I mean, I'm still American and support the United States, just that we have to do better. So you have anything to add to that, brother?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what unfolds with this, with the Russian-African relationship expanding. Some African countries had already been involved with Russia, but not to the degree that it seems to be happening now. And so that's going to cause a major shift in the world. Because I read somewhere that they're talking about creating something. I don't know if it's the BRICS thing, but they're talking about creating something like an IMF and a World Bank.
That also. I can't remember the name right now, but basically it's like it's dovetailing on that. What is it? Well, it's like a BRICS. Is it?
Yeah,
BRICS?
yeah.
Brazil,
like
Russia, India, Iran, China, South Africa now, but they're looking to bring more people in. So
yeah. Well, I wasn't sure if they were going to keep
G20. Go ahead.
Yeah. I wasn't sure if it was the same initiative, just expanding on it, or if it was something new that was being formed. So that's where that's what I didn't know. So I need to go back and do a little research. But nonetheless, that's huge. That's a major game changer, and will definitely impact NATO and the West in a way that I don't think that they were expecting. And so, so it'll be interesting to see how all of this plays out.
Yeah.
How all of it plays.
What's interesting is that right, because the cutting of reason, the US does one thing or the West does one thing, and it comes back and bites them in the butt because they're functioning on emotion and pure greed, pure animalistic mindsets to acquire, smash, and grab as much stuff as they could. And while they could kick Russia in the teeth and take their goodies like the big schoolyard bully, now Russia done took some judo lessons and learned a couple other things, and now they ain't so easy to get
put on a
whooped
little
that they
bolt.
said it. They done got their weight up a little bit, you know. They done been in the gym.
Yeah.
One thing that happened that was it was hilarious to me is that Siemens is a big German company. I don't know if you guys know Siemens or not, but they basically like GE manufacture everything. And one of these things are turbines and pumps to move natural gas. And they've got two huge pipelines from Russia that go directly into Germany, whereas previously the pipelines went through Poland and I forget the countries, but basically through Poland to Germany, like that. And then there's distributed different trunk lines and whatnot. And there's still gas flowing along those trunk lines to Germany. But Poland and Lithuania and those other countries who were right there piped up to Russia said, no, we don't want Russian gas. We're going to do the sanctions. We're going to honor the sanctions and not buy Russian products, whatever. Russia's like, okay, you don't have to build this pipeline out into China and India, and they buying up all our oil that we can even pull out. And we're selling it for three times, four times as much as it was. And we don't have to pump as much. So everything is fat and happy. So if you don't want our gas, fine, we'll sell it. Our oil, petroleum products, we'll sell it someplace else. So Russia, they didn't open. There were two pipelines: Nord Stream 1, Nord Stream 2. Nord Stream 2 got completed here recently, but because of the sanction stuff, they didn't turn it on. Well, the other pipeline, Nord Stream 1, was still pumping, but they had some type of outage. So they took the piece of equipment, I think it was a pump, but I'm not quite sure. But anyway, the pump was sent back to Siemens to be repaired in Canada. Well, in Canada, Justin Trudeau, or Justin Castro, as some call him, because some say he's the child of Fidel Castro. If you look at young pictures of Castro and him, he looks more like Castro than he does like the Prime Minister Trudeau. And his wife, his mother, Margaret, was known to run around and, you know, bump booties with all kinds of stars and whatnot. They put her out there as the straight, you know, single life woman, even though she was married. Okay, so this pump went over there, or this piece of equipment went over to Russia, or went over to China, Canada. Canada said, well, we can't give it back to you because we are honoring the sanction. Okay, Russia said, okay, well, that means we can't pump this pipe either. So y'all get no gas. We don't reduce y'all gas to 40% now of what we was giving y'all. And we're gonna have to take an outage here coming July too. So in July also to do some other maintenance. So we really gonna shut your gas down for 10 days and it may not come up and we'll see how you do. Well, the German people are like pissed. Their factories are shutting down. Their economies are collapsing. They're talking about having to start burning coal, even though they're talking about clean, renewable, all this other foolishness, which they don't understand, or at least most people don't understand the ramifications of lack of petroleum products that we use. This whole green economy stuff is a sham. You never run this society on green energy. People just don't understand, man. It's just sad.
Yeah. And it's interesting too that how all of these leaders are now running to Africa to get help with oil and all of this, these things that they consider that they had forced Africa to move away from, to go more green, to stop with these fossil fuels, but now they're asking for them because they've been cut off from Russia.
One interesting thing is Algeria. I think it was France or either Italy. They asked Algeria because there's a pipeline that runs into Europe from Algeria. They're a big gas producer, and they're just on the other side of the Mediterranean from Europe. They asked if Algeria could improve and could increase gas production. They said, "Well, we don't have enough. Sorry." But of course, they've been supported by the Russians too. So who knows what type of deals they've made and talked with Russia to restrict gas flow. Come winter, it's going to be shame to tell the king, as I was used to was told as a child about what's going to happen over there. And it's just interesting to see the conflict between so-called white people, less melanated people, because they fight amongst themselves like cats and dogs, especially the pirates. I mean, the pirate class.
Yeah, but they've always fought. That's the thing. They've always been, and that's what I don't get. They've always been fighting each other from as far back as you can think. I mean, it's just, again, it goes back to that what do you call it? They're what's the term escapes me.
Two-cradle theory.
No, they're the fact that they are mutant. It goes back to that mutant.
Oh, mutation.
Mutation, right? I mean, again, something had to happen to them mentally in that process to make them the way they are. And so, but again, they fought each other for ages. They were taking each other's countries and killing each other's kings, and you know, and they're still doing the same thing. That's who they are. It's just in them.
Right. It's interesting. It basically sharpened them and prepared them to their project, this colonial project to conquer the world, as they had advanced weaponry, relatively speaking, to other places and better organization, and the new doctrine of was not so much, but in actual the jour, but in practice for sure. When they would stick together, we had to stick together. It was starting to coalesce at that time. In other words, it's us, all white folks, against the world. We'll stick together underneath this banner, and we'll smash down anybody who's not in our little club. But we're going to still fight amongst ourselves and develop weapons and the like. But when we go out there in the world with these darkies, we'll stick together and beat them down. And that's what has occurred. And so you wonder about Russia, if they will follow the same tactic. I think it's a little bit different, but like what is it? Mark Twain said, history doesn't repeat, but it rhymes. So I'm still watching Russia to see what they're going to do.
Yeah.
But they're first and foremost pirates, and they're looking to benefit themselves. But Russians are a little bit different. So we'll see. They've always been in conflict with the Europeans, and they're not as controlled by the bankster bad guys as Western Europe, I think. But who knows, man? They've got so much stuff going on. But make a long story short, the US does not want to see, or the West does not want to see, a German-Russian alliance that would marry German technology with Russian resources, which could dominate the world. That's what the World War I, World War II, and all that stuff was about, to keep Germany smashed down. We need to revisit that story, because what we've been taught is basically all lies. But make a long story short, Russia is using judo techniques and playing chess on the West. And just like in Ukraine, they're smashing Ukraine. They're thinking that, I look on stuff, I get stuff in my feeds that Ukraine is destroying them. Oh yeah, and I wanted to go over one particular subject, which demonstrates the sheer insanity, or I don't know if they're stupid or they think we're stupid or all the above. But I saw where I got a little feed, and it said that Ukraine was, just kicking the dog. They was curb stomping Russia, and that they had one event where the Russians or the Ukrainians had launched on some military base or whatever, headquarters meeting of Russian leaders in Ukraine and Donbass area. That they had killed all the Russians. And then after they had conquered the area, the Ukrainians, they left. Then the Russians came in and took all the bodies buried them, then burnt them, or something like that. They burnt them and buried them, or buried them and burned them. I'm not quite sure what they said, but basically they said, Ukraine said, yeah, we beat the shit out of the Russians, but there's just no evidence because they burn all the bodies and then they put them in the ground. And I'm like, really? You expect us to believe that makes sense? You know, you're fighting a battle with somebody. The first thing in war, if you have soldiers that you want to protect, they want to know that their bodies are going to be taken care of. So they don't want to know that they're just going to be abandoned. That's going to take away their ability to fight. And that's been part of the US program too, with the Marines and other army. You know, you always bring your dead back. You don't leave your dead on the battlefield unless you have to. I mean, but the fact that they said that they destroyed or killed all these Russians and then the Russians came in and burnt the bodies and buried them. Sounds like a mind control. It just don't make sense. Anyway, just be discerning of any news you hear, because Ukraine is getting curb stomped, and it's going to be over with in a couple months, and it's going to be a new world. And I hope it's better for us as Africans. I think it will be. It's going to be. You know, as those people in control of the U.S., they're insane as they try and push a new Flying Unicorn 2 for us to get on and ride the white horse. So I think about that song back, dating myself. If you want to ride, ride the white horse. And that was the white unicorn. You know, they got us, and they got us on the booster 1, the booster 2, you know, 3, and people proud of it. Like, I'm riding my unicorn booster. All right, go ahead, bro. Enjoy. But anyway, that's the game plan they're running. Anything else, brother? I think I beat that one enough.
No, I'm good.
I want to talk, moving on to the next topic is going to be a little bit about abortion and the rationale by abortion and how people get triggered, particularly women, mostly women. When one questions anything about abortion, I mean, a lot of women get their titties in a what they call it, in a ringer behind that. Pardon the metaphor, and maybe people don't understand what ringers are, but I remember my mother was young, or when I was young, my mother would wash clothes, and she was so proud to have this basically washing machine with a ringer on it. They don't have those now, of course, but they have basically a paddle in the middle, and it spin around and wash the clothes, and then at some point they'd rinse them, or she'd take them out, and there was this 2 like rolling pins, like imagine a rolling pin, and they would
there was a crank.
Well, it was a crank, and then they had a motor. You know, as you
later they had motors.
They had a crank. So put the clothes through there, and you know, wring them out, and then you'd hang them up or rinse them, whatever you did with them. But they, you know, and I guess oftentimes if someone was a woman, mother was well endowed, she may get a little bit too close to that ringer, and part of her anatomy, her breast might get caught up in there, because some of our sisters and some of our people in general got some enough to give around. They don't need no surgery.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, wow, is that real? Anyway, so I can see that metaphor comes to mind, tit in the ringer. Yeah, that happens with these women. So if you say anything questioning about life, oh, you against abortion, oh, male patriarchy, all the talking points that Gloria Steinem and her CIA handlers inflicted on us, along with the marrying of, what's this chick name, the one that started Planned Parenthood, Margaret Sanger. They just have no understanding of what these women have done to us, and they just spot it out. Same with Christianity and this lack of discernment. And like I said, I'm mixed on the abortion issue. I think that it's not honestly discussed, because you're talking about my body, my choice. But then when the flying unicorn come and I have to take a ride on it, they say, no, you don't have a choice. Now you gotta get on the flying unicorn and get your, you know, 1, 2, fly, first one, second one, then your boosters and everything else on the flying unicorn. But with your body, with abortion, yeah, you can go ahead and do what you want. And I'm like, well, what about the body, my choice of the little girl you carry, if it's a female? Does she have a choice? Oh boy, does he have a choice? Because he's not you. This child, this embryo, whatever you want to call it, is not you. And is definitely existing prior to its emerges from your body, and you're relinquishing your divine gifts to be able to be a doorway to bring life into the planet, because everybody got here through women. Women are the doorway.
Right.
But now we're saying, okay, no, we ain't gonna let them come to the door. We're gonna blast them when they get on the porch, and they ain't gonna come to the house. We're gonna stop it.
Mhm.
But don't get me wrong. Abortion, for a woman to abort a child, I consider it's murder, but you know, who am I? But on the other hand, the state murders, right? Yeah, police murdering people, that's big in the news. You have black folks killing black folks, which is part of Frantz Fanon's idea of, you know, when you basically crabs in a barrel, you're going to fight and kill each other because of self-hatred and control and suffering and all that. I get that too. And then you have legal murder with, you know, state execution. So murder occurs in the country.
Mhm.
And then there's, you know, justifiable homicide. So murder is available as a tool in the law. So for me to say a woman shouldn't have the right to murder this innocent human being coming through, she does have the right. If the state can do it, they can do it, but that doesn't make it right. That's my view. So I'm not going to say a woman shouldn't do it, but she should know what she's doing.
Right.
And if we had one final thing, if the abortion was not legal, there will be 30 million more black people since 1972 in the US. Think about that. We've eliminated 30 million black people because of abortion.
Well, and to think when they set up abortion, that one of the primary purposes for it was to eliminate black people. All the abortion clinics were in black neighborhoods. Now, that doesn't mean that white women weren't doing it, but you know, you get all these white women who are on the bandwagon against abortion, but it's their complicitness that has allowed these their white husbands to put people in power to make these decisions on their behalf. Right? I mean, if the white women voted against the more rights kinds of things like this that impact other people's lives, then we wouldn't be having this debate and this upset with what the Supreme Court has done. Because white women get abortions too. There are more white women than black women. And you can rest assured that just like white women are white, there's so many things that white people do because there's so many more of them, so the percentage or the rate that they do a lot of this stuff is higher in comparison to what black people do because there are more of them in this country, right? There are more of them in the West. And so, but yet, I say that because, you know, Maxine Waters got on her bandwagon about rallying black women.
James Brown with a wig. Go ahead.
Yeah. And I'm like, Maxine, sit your ass down somewhere because you're trying to, she was saying, we black women, we're going to rise up and we're going to take this fight forward. But it's more white women that get abortions than black women. Yeah, abortion has impacted black women to a great degree. Again, you have to keep in mind percentage, right? But it's the white women's husbands who have voted these Supreme Court justices that have allowed them to come into play to make these kind of decisions. So go to the white women and rally them and leave the black women alone. You know, take your fight to the white women.
And that's another example of the hypocrisy, because I saw where Maxine James Brown Waters was, she looks like James Brown with a wig on. I'm sorry. But
some senator said that.
Maceo, blow your horn. No, but you know, they're talking about this January 6th stuff. Oh, that's just like show business for ugly people. Who cares? They met there for Trump, and then they're trying to save Trump, told them to go attack the Capitol, and all this foolishness. It's just a big game. But she's saying that was such a travesty for these people to go attack the Capitol, and it's against the law, this, that, and the other. Okay, true. Maybe I can see that. But on the other hand, you're saying for these women and other people to go harass these justices, which is a federal crime, and to rally and harass Congress people and all that, that is unacceptable. On one hand, you want to accept harassment and, you know, rioting, Black Lives Matter stuff. But on the other hand, you say when they do it, it's not right. So here again, we get this breakdown in logic and consistency. My body, my choice. Only accept when I feel like it and I'm triggered. You know, so the exceptions. There's a breakdown of logic and rational thinking. And that's the problem with the country. Lack of rational, logical analysis. So I just want to say that on for abortion. I think it's a woman's choice, but she needs to be fully educated, and it is murder. So if you choose to murder, fine, but know that you are doing that. Anyway, that's all I have. Anything else, brother? I'm gonna move on from there.
No, I'm good.
Okay, I want to talk about YouTubers. I've been listening to different YouTubers, man, hearing their programming, and a lot of them seem to be mind controlled or either ignorant or trying to push narratives, or maybe they just don't know. Maybe I'm just so much smarter than them, so I see them as such. But but I was listening to one the other day, and he was saying, and what was he saying about he was just a lot of different topics, and they're just playing the Democrat-Republican card game. It's, you know, it's just like no true analysis of looking at who's really the puppet masters and control, and how is it being unfolded and how people are being manipulated. They just go with simple Democrat, Republican, or Russia bad, Russia new, USSR, boogeyman, and we're the good guys. And it's just, I wonder if they're getting paid or just want to stay on YouTube. And we're gonna have to set up an alternative channel too, because we going too hard at the truth. We will. I have one on BitChute, and I'll post this and put it in the links down there. We're gonna get to a point probably when we're getting on some topics that are controversial that we're just gonna have a link to there,
right,
coming forward. But that lack of discern, or that lack of, or giving out false information is disappointing, man. I just, people are just so confused. Like, wow.
Yeah.
Have you come across that?
Of course. Yep. I mean, but again, because social media is what it is, people are at liberty to express themselves and to say what they want to say, and that's freedom, right? That's what we're all about. Whether it's true, whether it's right. I mean, in their minds, it's right for them. Some of them. In some instances, you're right, they're being paid for it to spread propaganda, right?
Right.
But what are the alternatives to which we're already experiencing some of the control of social media? And you, like you just said, some of the stuff that we talk about is controversial. So they'll either shut it down if we don't have a backup, where we can continue to speak our truth. But it's kind of the same concept, whether you agree with it or not. It's whatever they're saying, if it's truth to them, or even if it's not truth and they're spewing lies, it's freedom.
Yeah. And I guess once again, it comes back to us as individuals to marshal our intellectual faculties to counteract that. And it's interesting because I've seen a change in Black people as the society has opened up, and it's not this overt Jim Crow, clear separation, separate water fountains and all that. And you've got some Blacks who have become relatively prosperous overall. The mindset in the media is that we are, you know, one big happy family. Let's just, you know, hold hands and sing Kumbaya, which is not accurate either, because it's not taking into account the type of system we live in, which is a rapacious, brutal, modified slavery 2.0 or 3.0, depending on your point of view. But it's still slavery, and it's become basically democratized and that everyone is a slave now. And that's kind of what Martin Luther King talked about. Why do we want to integrate to a burning house? Because the capitalist, materialist, expansionist model of world domination and control is not sustainable. As they talk about climate change, as they talk about resource depletion, as they talk about poisoning of the airs and the lands, dying, the geoengineering, all the stuff that's occurring, we're told to look down and not pay attention. But now Blacks, I see, are more inclined to follow mainstream media without questioning, whereas before, I remember my mother and even my generation to a certain degree, we're more discerning. Like, so when they talked about going to the moon, my mother always told me, man, she said, they didn't go to the moon. I don't believe they did that. And as I've studied the science, there appears to be a lot of unanswered questions and inconsistencies, things like that. So, and we know, once again, it comes down to, if you know the nature of a person and their action, should you be surprised if they continue in that nature and behavior and actions, or do you expect them to all of a sudden switch and not be the way that they've showed you that they are historically for hundreds of years, if not thousands?
Right.
Some people, go ahead, brother.
No, I was thinking about, you talk about Black people and how we've evolved and how we've had some bit of success after coming through Jim Crow and integrating into this American culture as we have. I think I sent this to you. Did you see? There was a link of it's a Black man who's running for Congress. He's GOP running from Congress, and he's in the commercial with his gun.
Country? I mean, what state?
Oh gosh, I forget.
It's not Herschel Walker, is it?
Yeah, I think it is Herschel Walker.
In Georgia, yeah.
Yeah, I think it is. And he's there's this ad he's running, and he's in it with his AK-57.
Okay, I think 47, but go ahead.
Yeah,
or AR-15.
AR-15. I'm sorry, AR-15.
Okay.
And then the Ku Klux Klan in his video are the Democrats.
Well, historically they have been that.
Yeah. And so all of these white hooded creatures are coming towards his house, but he's got his gun. Wow. And he's standing in his house, looking at them coming towards his family. You haven't seen the commercial?
I haven't.
I'm gonna have to find it and send it to you. I'm like, and then he refers to the Democrats as being the Klan who's coming for us.
Very powerful.
Yeah. And so, but again, both parties are the Klan. That's the thing. Both parties are the Klan. So choose the big white hood or the small white hood. They're all white hoods.
Right. They're all right hoods. And I think about what Johnson said back in the 50s with all the Great Society programs, which liberals love. And I find liberals to be the most detestable of Caucasians on the planet, in my view, because they are the ones who are the most crippling and disabling of these folks. I'd rather a racist Klan member to deal with than a liberal. So, but anyway, I found that interesting. That
no, it's not Herschel Walker. I sent it to you. It's Jerome Davison.
Okay, I'm not sure where I'm not familiar with that. I'm going to have to check it out.
Yeah. I sent it to you a couple of days ago.
Okay, so I'll have to take a look at it. Okay, so we were talking about basic logic in the sense of Democrat, Republican. I kind of got off topic here, so we're gonna continue on my list. I'm gonna stay on that. Might not have treated that one the best, but with the logic thing, Democrat, Republican, they're basically the same, different wings of the same bird. So why do we get so excited about one versus the other? But I guess what I was trying to say is that Blacks have more discernment back in the day. But as we become more integrated into culture, which is good in some ways, but only we're founded in our culture. We have not been. We've been brainwashed by TV, media, and whatnot. So I was in the store the other day walking around, and a bunch of elders, man, which I'm going to have to start considering myself one of these days here, but
Right.
that's still a little bit down the road. Not
But
yet.
for right now, we're still not there.
We're not there yet. I don't care how many times you ask. We're not there yet. But I looked at their faces and I looked at their masks, and so many of our people are just so mind controlled by TV. If I had my way, I'd make every person's TV disappear right now. Bam. And I look at their skin and I know that they're being basically manipulated by the medical industrial complex to take all of these particular pills. They're on 7, 8, 9, 10 medications. They've taken they've ridden on so many unicorns, 3 and 4 and 5th booster.
Right.
And they're just sick. And they're not eating well, and then they're mind control. I mean, some people are waking up, and people are waking up, but the older generation, they appear to just be so controlled, zombie-like by the television, which is sad. But anyway, that's where we are, and I think the new generation coming up is going to be more discerning and questioning. Unfortunately, a lot of them have getting taught this. Their views on things are the typical liberal school view, and that's a problem. But anyway, go ahead, brother.
No, I don't have anything to add to that. I'm right there with you.
Okay, once again, I want to get on. That's a logic thing, and I'm going to keep harping on the logic thing. I have a talk that I did on logic a little while back, but I want to apply it from the point of view of just crypto, just basic, real simple analysis. Because you hear people say cryptos are great, cryptos are going to be the future. But in keeping with this logic analysis, people say, oh, you maintain their value, they're outside of the system, and they're protected by encryption, so therefore you don't lose your money. But if you just do a cursory review of cryptos and their functionality, I beg to differ, just from basics. Okay, first of all, crypto supposedly are wealth, but how are they maintained? How are they created? Well, massive use of electricity to generate the crypto coin, right? You have to do what they call mining, which is a type of encryption and validation process, which I'm not going to go into too deep, but it requires a lot of electrical energy to create. So you're destroying the environment because you got to burn coal, burn nuclear, burn biofuels, trees, whatever, to create it and maintain it. So that's one drawback, environmentally not sound. Second one is that it's basically you don't own it, you don't hold it. It's in a computer with chips that are manufactured by AMD and Intel, which I've come to understand are all backdoored. So if there's a backdoor to the chip, and you have to transmit it across electrical systems not controlled by you, you got to go through your ISPs. So all this crypto protection and wealth for you is not really controlled by you. You have to go across a computer. You have to go across networks. You don't own those. So how can you say that they are protected by this encryption that you don't know how it really works?
Right. You have
and if
no
there's
insight.
back doors, how can it be safe? You don't hold it in your hand. And I've been told if you don't hold it, you don't own it. So that's all I want to say on cryptos, basic logic. Go ahead, brother.
No, it's very true, very true. And then if you happen to send that crypto to a wallet, a different wallet by mistake, you can't get it back. You've lost whatever you sent. If you forget your password for some reason and don't have your backup password, then you have lost everything.
Right.
You can't get it because nobody can reset your password. There's no reset button.
Right. Really?
No reset at all.
So once again, it doesn't pass the basic African American, African logic test about control, ownership, and what's truly going on with it. And that's what we've lost, I think, a lot of being able to look at stuff from the street or basic farm, country, whatever you want to call it, level, and make an analysis, because we're beginning confused by that.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say about that. Next thing I want to talk about is this is the last topic too, about emotion over logic and actions. And I see people, and that thread runs through this whole discussion, how we've been mind controlled by emotional action. So we get emotional about things and we believe something so strongly, like abortion, like Dallas Cowboys are the best team in football, or Lakers, whatever. And we get emotionally attached. Now, all of a sudden, any type of rational analysis and thought is out the window, and we have to get beyond that.
Yeah.
So now what I do, I just ask questions. I don't try to pontificate or say anything. If I see something that's just not logically inconsistent, I ask questions and then watch the other people melt down as they stumble and sputter a particular response. But anyway, I just want to say we have to become less, emotion has their place, but emotion should not be at the forefront.
Right.
With decision making.
Yeah.
Go ahead, brother. What you got, man?
No, I mean, it's true, but again, we've been conditioned to be irrational and emotional about things instead of more rational thinking about things. So so it's easy, and I guess we've seen it exacerbated over the last, I don't know, 4 or 5 years. And so now people are more emotional than they were previously. And they're so passionate about whatever it is they're passionate about, where they don't care who it impacts or how it impacts anybody else. So the humanity of it has been removed, of controlling your emotionalism.
Right.
And so, so it's sad, but that's where we are.
It's trumpeted out there, or held out there as a badge of honor.
Yeah.
I believe my emotion, I feel, and that's they get these children young, and to respond to these emotional, I need a safe space. All this lack of adequate education, this Prussian education system is teaching us all to be robots, and it's worse now. Don't question authority, just follow what they say. But a new day is coming. I think the one-room schoolhouse is the model we need to get back to, or maybe an online type one-room schoolhouse. But I don't like online schooling. That personal touch has to be there. But I think we're going to have to get back to, even in the bigger schools, have like a one-room schoolhouse type model to educate the youth. But we'll fill that out at a later point. Anything else?
No, I'm straight.
Well, I think I'm at the end of my little list. We'll have more about Africa next week. But right now, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for participating and listening to this. Like, share, and subscribe. If you have any comments, please put them down there. And this is Baba Ahnk and Baba Kwabena from a Kemites View, thanking you for your time. And we wish you love and gratitude.
All right, brother. Peace and love.
All right. Peace.